Welcome to this. Oh man, did you hear that?
I
What the
did.
heck
I
was
don't know
that?
what happened there.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I felt like I got punched in the throat. I was like,
I was worried about you.
Welcome to this Endorian Life, a nostalgic podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and today we're settling in for some vintage Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, today we are discussing Decisions, the premiere episode of Stargate Infinity, which first aired on September 14th, 2002. I was just getting into college when this came
Yeah,
out.
we were hanging out. We were
Yeah, we were
hanging out when
chilling.
this came out. So yeah,
It was-
this this of course. Well, I don't know. I say of course, but is it that obvious that this is based on Stargate SG-1? I don't really think so. But this
yeah.
is ostensibly based on Stargate SG-1, which was in turn based on the film Stargate. The series ran for one 26-episode season, leaving several storylines unresolved. I felt like just the first episode had like 10 storylines, and I was like, wait, what?
It-
What?
I feel
This
like
is the pilot of a series?
I think you know what it is. Okay, in and the I love Stargate. I love
Yeah.
so it's a really high bar. I feel
Yeah.
like to kind of achieve. I think this would be a really good sci-fi spinoff of some other universe.
Okay.
Like I had the feeling when I was watching this, I was like, this feels very like X-Men-y or like
Yeah.
maybe some other type of like you could rope in some other IP, science fiction IP and actually have a compelling story. But as far as like Stargate, this did not feel like Stargate at all to me.
I can't really
At
speak to
all.
that, but I felt like this didn't feel like a pilot at all. I felt like this was like a season 3 cliffhanger season
Right.
finale.
Yeah. Like we should have
Like
known stuff. Yeah.
yeah. It's like we start with this court martial about this character we've never seen before. Like I have no feelings about this. What are you doing?
I think
We
the
haven't
episode
even got through the
develops.
facts yet, Steve.
No, I'm sorry.
That's how bad this is. Okay, no.
I know.
So one season, 26
Okay.
episodes.
Yeah.
First batch of episodes was released on DVD in 2003 with a complete series release in 2008. It was written by Michael Eatons, directed by Will Munoz. The cast includes Dale Wilson as Gus Bonner, which is a weird lens character because he's very like Lex Luthor coded. He does not seem at
Yes.
all like he's our hero. Tiffany Christum as Stacy Bonner, Bettina Bush as Seattle Montoya. She also did voice work on the Karate Kid series. So, you know what? If there's a bad cartoon based on a good movie, she is right there doing voice work, and I love her for it. We have Kathleen Barr as Draga. And you have to correct me on this if this is incorrect, but I scoured to see if there were any connections to Stargate at all besides the concept of a Stargate. So whether that's returning characters or like references, and I certainly didn't pick up any, and the internet tells me that there are none. Do you concur? No connections to Stargate?
There are two connections I will talk about later. Yeah.
Okay, you
I'm
get
gonna
to them,
bring
but
those
there are
up.
some
Yeah.
things. Okay, well, that's good to
Yeah.
know. Our Star Wars link for this episode is Mark Hildreth, who voices the brash R.J. Harrison in this series. He also voices Warren Worthington III, aka Angel, in X-Men Evolution. So if you're listening to previously on X-Men right now, Eric and Hillary are working through that series. So you'll hear this voice again. And in the Star Wars world, he has voiced several characters in the Old Republic games, including Enforcer Vorjak and Cole Kantaris.
I feel like I recognize Kentaris, but I don't remember Enforcer Vorjak.
Yeah,
We were talking
several,
a long time ago.
several voices that he did in those, but those seem like the most prominent.
I like his voice. He did good. I think
You and I have a shared love of a series that's pretty contemporary to this, and that is the Batman that was on Kids WB, like the Reno Romano Batman. That's the one. And I thought aesthetically, like the character designs, like sort of the triangular jaws, and I thought this fit in really well with like Batman, the Batman, Jackie Chan adventures,
Mhm.
and this all sort of felt like they're like coming from the same world. The thing that I would say that stood out to me the most that separated it from the other two was the color palette. I thought we were back
Yes.
in like the Ewok series because this was all
Yeah.
just like, have we tried
Ah.
tan? Have we tried tan on tan? You
I
know?
agree. I love the look, like the
Yeah, yeah,
animation, the drawing, but yeah, the color palette, I was just like, "Oof, this looks
yeah,
like weird, like I couldn't place like the almost like cyberpunky techie
yeah,
look to it. It just didn't
yeah.
seem like it knew where it
I mean, there
wanted
were
to
some
be.
like RJ, for example. He had like a red suit, and that was cool. One of the
Yeah.
female characters I felt like was dressed like Buzz Lightyear, but maybe I'm making that up. But there were some reds and purples, but for the most
Yes.
part, it was very
Orange and
gray and tan and
blue.
orange. Yeah, just a
Yeah.
real muted kind of look. So I don't know. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
This, I'm looking at this plot synopsis, Steve, and you know, it's short. So I think this belies how you feel about it. So.
I'll yeah, let's get to the we'll talk about it after I try and get through this. So
Yeah,
I
hit
didn't
me.
read it like I always do. I don't read it after I write it, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
again this one is I hope I didn't like swear or anything about
Okay.
how
We'll find
annoying this
out.
was. Anyway,
We'll
all
find out
right.
together.
Uber detailed plot of Stargate Infinity Decisions, episode 1. On a training mission, RJ and Stacy learn a valuable lesson on making decisions quickly. Stacy's mind is elsewhere, though, as her father, Major Gus Bonner, is to be court-martialed for disobeying a direct order that led to heavy casualties for his strike team. The evidence is damning, and he is guilty pending judgment. Captain Grimes, however, is less than sympathetic. He leaves the court for the lab where Seattle, Dr. Mason, and Echo are investigating a Naquita sarcophagus.
Okay.
Naquita sarcophagus. So that's one connection.
Okay.
They discover a living organism inside that Seattle can sense is sentient, and they believe it could be an ancient as it is rapidly evolving. Captain Grimes sneaks off and secretly reveals himself as a shape-shifting Sheftu spy named Nephestus. With knowledge of the creature, he transforms into Major Bonner, gaining access to the Stargate, I can't read, allowing an enemy Tlacon strike team to infiltrate the base. The Tlacons steal the newly discovered organism with the help of Captain Grimes slash Nephestus, who also discloses he set up Major Bonner. That's why he's being court-martialed.
Yeah.
Major Bonner, the real one, Major Bonner leads the team to quickly rescue the organism, but RJ stops them, not trusting Bonner after being duped earlier. Seattle can tell the organism has already been taken, and the team heads out to the rescue. They successfully rescued an organism from the Tlacon, but are forced to head into the Stargate to escape. They arrive on the other side and fend off the Tlacon there. Major Bonner dials in another planet, and the team heads through, making a quick decision, like earlier, after Bonner sabotages the gate console so no one can follow them. Roll credits.
Hmm.
That was
Hmm.
very condensed. Very
Yeah.
condensed. There's
Yeah.
a lot
I
of
appreciate it though. I appreciate it though because you're
yeah.
stitching it all together in a cohesive manner. I really think like what I was saying about how I felt like this is like a good third season episode. It's like so much relies on you knowing how these characters are going to react in a given
Yes.
situation that if you don't know that, it doesn't matter. Like we
Mhm.
don't know what Gus Bonner is like in the chain of command. So when he's forced to go rogue, like we don't know what that means. We don't
Yeah.
know if that's hard for him, if he is rebellious, if that's empowering for him. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then the shapeshifter plot, which I don't mind, I think is interesting, and I think they use it in an interesting way. But again, we don't know what these characters act like normally. So when you have a
Yes.
shapeshifter pretending to be another character, there's nothing that's telling you, oh, that's weird, because we don't know the
Yeah.
characters. This is the first episode. We're 5 minutes into this world.
Yeah, well, there
So,
was a weird thing too where he even the shapeshifter said like, "Oh, how do I access?" Or he's talking about accessing the gate, and he's like, "Oh, the perfect person to access the gate would be the gate access
yeah,
person," and shapeshifts into the woman he was just in front. But it's like when you shapeshift, I guess you just immediately inherent or like inherit all of
Yeah,
their like knowledge and abilities? That doesn't make
right.
any sense to me. So it's just like that was like a weird part where I was like, oh,
Because
why did he
he's
need to
not
shave?
like he's not like absorbing them, right?
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
not
he's not like
absorbing them. No, because she was
they're
still
still
there.
alive. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know if it's like a mind meldy kind of thing,
But he
but
like pulls himself apart like it's a skin suit, and that's
that
like a weird
was
part.
gross. That was so
I
gross.
know, I was like,
That was
what
one of
is
my
going on?
notes here is that the transformations are so grotesque because he like grabs the mouth and starts like stretching the mouth and then it's just like horrible like tan pus.
And it,
It's
like, yeah, it just comes
awful.
out and it's like, it's yeah, weird. That was weird to me that they did that
Yeah.
instead of just like shape shifting. Because to
Right.
me, like it would have
Yeah.
been like, why not stay as Gus Bonner? Because that's
Yeah.
who you're trying to like constantly blame for everything. So he should have just stayed as Bonner, opened the gate, and walked out there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh well, now that you just shifted into the actual like gate control operator, like, well, now they're just gonna
Yeah.
blame her.
Right.
You know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, oh, and then not even that, they're gonna blame her, and then she's gonna be like, "No, I was stunned." And then RJ is gonna
Right.
be like, "Yeah, Bonner stunned us." So it's like,
Right.
why transfer it, to me, that was just like, "What?" Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, that was I feel like that could have been something,
I also
they
like maybe you can answer this,
didn't do.
but the things that I've seen of Stargate, because I have watched the first few episodes like 20 years ago. I watched Stargate
Yeah.
SG-1, the first maybe 5 episodes, but I don't remember them having all this like mech tech kind of stuff. Like people are in like mech suits
No.
and stuff.
So I
So is
did a
this
bit
in
of
the
research.
future? Is
It
this in
is in
the
the future. It's
okay?
30
All
years.
right.
It looks like it's
Oh well,
100 years. I
yeah.
mean, it's
30 is
very
not really
techy
enough.
and
I have T-shirts that are 30 years old.
yeah, for real, right?
That's not even an
Am I
exaggeration,
wearing one?
actually.
No.
I definitely do. I definitely do.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like it should be even. I mean, what did I say? 100? It looks like it should be a couple hundred years in the future because it
Yeah.
is very different. It's very techy. The installation itself seems strange to me. Based it was a military base. This seems very. It seems military, but not. I can't
Is
quite tell.
it
You
set
know,
on Earth?
it's supposed to
I
be set on Earth.
It is set on Earth. Okay, because that
Yeah,
also, I mean, that
supposed
would
to
have kinda
be. Yeah.
solved the problem if we were seeing it people
Yes.
on a in a different world, how they are accessing the Stargate. Like,
Yeah.
that could have been an interesting but it's just on Earth 30 years later, and everybody wears
It's
mech
supposed to
suits,
be
I guess.
30 years late. Yeah, I did some looking ahead at episodes. I actually was
Okay.
tempted to look to, like, watch a couple episodes,
I
but I
did.
just
I
looked at
rolled
the
a couple. I
descriptions. Oh,
rolled a
you
couple.
did?
I
Oh,
did, yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
the creature that they're going for actually transforms into some other flying dragon. That's the
Yeah.
what character is that? Draga?
Something like that. Yeah,
Draga?
Draga.
Draga?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Draga. Yeah.
Um, it's not an ancient. Like, I remember the ancients
Okay.
just being like humanoids. The
Right.
ancients were humanoids. There's Asgardians. That's from Stargate Atlantis. They look like Asgardians look like what we would think of as aliens, except they're not
Okay.
green, like that like weird,
Gotcha.
frail looking, big headed,
Okay.
big eyed thing.
Okay.
But I thought ancients were just humanoid looking, you know.
You got me.
So
I don't know.
so I think that comes out. It must be some other species or something like that. They think it's an ancient, which is weird because it's 30 years in the future,
Yeah.
but they would have already known what ancients look like at that point.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
to me, that was very strange. I
I will
did.
say, and this is like
Oh, go
real
ahead.
faint praise, but I watched probably the first 3 episodes or so, and seeing some of the arcs play out a little bit longer
Ah,
does
okay.
sort of retroactively make the first episode a little bit more interesting in hindsight once you kind of know. But
Mhm.
because I mean, I really do think that there are interesting elements at play, you
Yes,
know?
I sense that too with all those levels of
Yeah.
the he's what Nephistus, had been infiltrating as
Yeah.
Captain Grimes, and so like
Hmm.
there was aspects where I was like, oh, okay, but I think you hit the nail on the head where it was this would all seem better if we knew who the characters were,
Hmm.
and we
Yeah.
don't, and so I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's
Yeah.
obviously the bad guy. You can tell by his voice immediately and the way he talks, but then you're like, this doesn't. I don't understand why yet, you know.
Yeah.
So, why do that to Major Grimes or whatever
Mm.
is that? Yeah, Major
Yeah.
Grimes. No,
I mean,
Bonner. Major Bonner, yeah.
right. Captain Grimes was the kind of the
Captain
villains.
Grimes, Major Bonner, yeah.
Yeah. And Captain Grimes, as he was, I don't know if that was, we were only seeing the alien impersonating him the whole time, but he had a very like Dr. Smith from Lost in Space energy
Yes.
about
He
him.
totally did,
But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really like we start with the court martial and be like 3 days earlier. But in this case, I could have used it, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
drop us in there and then use the court case to kind of like be introducing evidence and having flashbacks and things and like bring us into this world. But as it was, like I understand that we're supposed to care about Gus Bonner, but I really didn't.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yep.
tough
And he's supposed to be
and
in charge. And I thought there was
right.
a weird scene that I watched again because I was like, wait a minute, what? As I was writing this, there was a scene in the hallway where RJ's like, wait a minute, this isn't, like, hey, he had a chance to be like, Major Bonner Major Bonner just stunned me in the control room.
Yeah.
This was an opportunity for that lesson. When we talk about moral lesson at the beginning of the episode, they're like, I guess the moral lesson was like, look, you got to make a split second decision, and you got to do it and be responsible for
Yeah.
what I mean, they didn't say responsible. They just had to be like, you got to be ready for what's next, or whatever. You
Yeah.
just got to be ready. And so, fine, okay, that's great. But like, this was an opportunity for them to kind of rehash that, and they totally
Mm-hmm.
missed it. They missed it
Mm-hmm.
where he was just like, everyone was on Bonner's side because they had been with the real Bonner. RJ had been with the fake Bonner, and so eh, like where was I just there wasn't like a hey wait a minute, I don't trust that it's him. And some of the be in the group like Stacy could have been like, look, we got to make a decision. I've been with him the whole time. This is my father.
Yeah.
We got to act now if we're going to save that entity. Totally missed out
Mm-hmm.
on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it had to be implied.
I guess.
But I watched the scene over again. And I was like, nope, he kind of just ran with them. When
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
when
Well,
Seattle was like, oh, I sense that it's already going down a hallway, and they're like, okay, and they run off, and I'm like, wait, what? We're not gonna like dial back on the well, maybe
yeah.
that is like an imposter Bonner, like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It was that to me was just they missed
Yeah,
something there.
it's weird. This is the question that we keep coming back to when we cover this stuff, and it's just like, who was this for? Because it was
Yeah,
so dense and uninteresting that I
yeah,
can't imagine just a kid like fresh off, like, oh, let's see what's on, flipping through channels, finding this, being like, wow, court martial. I don't see that happening. And
What's a court martial, mom?
history
Yeah.
has shown that this is, in general, not something that is embraced by Stargate fans either. I don't even really think completists care about
No.
this show.
So I went to the
So,
wiki, and the
yeah.
first line in the wiki for Stargate Infinity is Stargate Infinity was an animated spin-off of Stargate SG-1 that lasted one season from 2002 to 2003. Brad Wright, so he's the show,
Okay.
writer, director, writer, etc., producer, has stated that it should not be considered part of the SG-1 Atlantis and universe canon. So it is a spin-off, but it is
Yeah.
not. I mean, it's
Just its
like
own thing. Yeah.
that's very disappointing as like the first line of the Stargate Infinity entry is to
Yeah.
be like, it's called Stargate Infinity, but it's not Stargate. And so it's just like, dang, it this show I feel like would it's gonna I do wish I watched forward. There actually is a character later on in like episode 5, Commander Shepard, and I was like, wait a minute, Commander Shepard, he's from Stargate Universe, and I had to be like, okay, wait a minute, this show's 30 years in the future, so it possibly could be Shepard. But when this show was written, Stargate Universe or Stargate Atlantis actually wasn't even a show yet.
Oh, okay.
So that was strange. So I'm like, I'm looking at the timelines going, Commander Shepard, you know, and so it's like, I don't know. It
So
started to rub
but
me
no
the wrong way
connection,
that there was
probably.
so
Like, just
maybe they just named the
yeah.
character, Commander Shepard
Interesting
after
that
that
this
guy.
is
I don't know.
the first spin-off of Stargate SG-1. That's interesting.
Yes,
That this little turd
technically is the
was
first.
what they
Yeah.
first. Yeah. All right, let's you know what? Let's stick with it. Let's go Oak of Arc moment. What's your Oak of
Okay.
Arc moment?
So for me, it's Stargate in name only. There's
Yeah.
nothing there. There's not enough. I mean, there's a couple little member berries like the Nakoda mummy.
Yeah.
Like of all the things you're like, wait, what? A mummy sarcophagus? Like what the heck?
Yeah.
So that makes no sense to you because you're like everything's space and it's Stargate and
Hmm.
planets and stuff like that. But that's a big aspect of Stargate and Stargate
Okay.
SG-1, the ancient mummy type deal with the Goa'uld alien race from SG-1. But yeah, like this in name only,
Okay.
there was a weapon that they had that the Tlacon had. It's like a staff kind of
Okay.
blaster. That is one of the other only connections, and they actually use the sound of it from the show. So
Oh,
those it's a staff
okay.
weapon that the ghoul the Jaffa, excuse me, the Jaffa warriors would hold,
Okay.
and that was like their quintessential. That was such a recognizable weapon, and the sound super recognizable.
You love your
And so like
sounds.
that I do. And so for me, like, dude, like it's got to be. I mean, if they had started out with it being more military, as far
Hmm.
as military looking like from the shows from
Yeah.
SG-1, that would have
Right.
worked. Or jump to the future 100 years and make it completely different.
Yeah.
But it's like they almost took some of the same elements and just changed them, and it made it so weak to me
Mm,
that like this was just didn't feel like a Stargate show at all.
yeah.
What about you?
Well, I think we've kind of covered mine in hindsight, but basically just like starting with that trial, I think is just such a bad intro to the series because you
Yeah.
just don't know the characters, you don't know what's going on. But I think just in general, the pacing of this episode is just very, I found it dull. I
Yeah.
just,
I
I
found
thought
it
it was
kinda
so
dull
boring.
too.
So
They
was the
wasted that
sound?
time.
Yeah.
They wasted
Yeah.
that time. They could have done some character development as opposed to doing,
I
like,
would
the
have loved
trial,
some. I would have
And
loved
then the
some.
second episode, they could have introduced the trial and been like, "Hey, you're under
Yeah.
arrest," or something, like,
Yeah.
I don't
Lead
know,
us into it.
something like that,
Yeah.
so
Well, you have to show us the status quo before you can disrupt the status quo, you
yes.
know? It just
Yes.
doesn't.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
anyway, so were the sounds is the sounds your Ichiwawa
So
moment then?
that's yeah, my
Okay.
Ichiwawa moment is hearing that, seeing that first staff weapon come out, and then the sound, I was like, "Ooh, ooh," that like gave me the pins and needles. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, that's such a classic sound. That's only to that. It's not like something that they reuse in like
Mhm.
other sci-fi shows, like certain screams and things like
Yeah.
that, or blast or explosion sounds. No, this is quintessential Stargate SG-1 staff weapon sound, and that I
Mhm.
loved that. I was like,
Okay.
it's not a redeeming factor though, but I was like,
Yeah.
at least they incorporated
A little
some
positive
Stargate
mark.
in
Yes. Okay.
Stargate.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, maybe I'm just biased because we open on a place that looked a lot like Endor with the high trees and the chase through the
We
trees and
did, yeah.
everything. But I actually found that quite enjoyable. Like when I think it's RJ in the car or in sort of a space car, and they're
Yeah.
doing that chase through the trees and everything. It felt like
The
a good
warthog
action pack.
from
Yeah, it felt like a good
Halo, yeah.
action pack start, and it was like, yeah, this is fun. And then it's a hard cut to the trial. But that moment, it kind
It
of seemed
is.
like, yeah, this is going to be, action packed and fun. So I thought it was a solid start. But
That scene was
overall,
pretty funny too. Or like
yeah, I
that was like 120-foot gorge drop
yeah,
that they
yeah.
survived because they just rode the trees down. I
Yes.
thought that was kind of
Fun.
clever.
It
Like,
was.
all
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
I mean, for a cartoon, I'll believe it.
Yeah. There's a
Okay, they
little
got
Ewok
lucky.
ingenuity that they were able to work in here,
Yes.
which I
I
appreciated.
do love their
No,
faces though. They were kind of like, "Oh,
yeah.
we survived,"
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like we're totally dead, and then they
Surprise.
survived, and they're like
Yeah.
looking at each other like, "We made it." Okay.
So
Uh,
I can't be any help here. So I'm wondering, this obviously is not the place to start for Stargate fans, but like, where would you direct somebody who has never experienced Stargate before?
um, that's a good question. I feel like
Thanks,
you should
man.
watch the movie
Okay.
first because that kind of gives you, I think, a solid background to the show. SG Stargate Issue One. That's where you should start first,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and that show it's so good. It's so good. I liked them all, really. Actually, I think the only one I didn't finish was Universe.
That's short,
I
right? There's
think
like,
it's short. It's like 3
yeah.
seasons or 2.5 or
Okay.
something.
Something like
I
that.
think it
Yeah.
moved to cable in its
Mm.
3rd season or something like
Uh,
that, or the 2.5, like, somewhere in there, and then I missed how the show ended. I actually
yeah.
never got to see it, so I'll have to do that, but
But
I
is
loved it.
SG1, like, does it have the same problem that, say, like Star Trek The Next Generation has, where like you watch the first season and you're like, yowza, this is rough? Or is it hit the ground running pretty well?
I think it hits the whew, that's a good question. So, yeah, it is a little bit like Next Generation,
Okay.
the first season, where
So you got to
it
have
is a little bit
patience.
rough. You gotta have patience.
Okay.
I do remember that. Teal'c, one of the characters, really develops. Actually, that's he's one of the unsung heroes of that show. He's a character in it that he basically defects, I think in the first episode.
Okay.
He's a Gould. He carries a symbiote. He's a Gould warrior.
Okay.
Goa'uld. I say Gould because they eventually just start calling
Like
him Gould. It's
enough
like
with
too
this
tough to be like
diphthong.
Goa'uld.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just say Gould. I think the humans call him Goulds. They just like, hey,
Okay.
Gould. Um, but yeah, like his character develops so well in the show. Actually, they all kind of do. And even in there, like one of the seasons, you remember the show Farscape?
I
So
remember it, but I've never seen it.
oh, okay. So the two lead characters in that, the guy and the girl,
Okay.
basically Richard Dean Anderson takes a break, um, and then he steps in for like a season, or
Okay.
somebody else does. Oh, I can't even remember now. It's been so
Got to
long.
refresh your
Somebody
memory.
else comes in as it's like all the actors like I just felt like taking a season off. So like
Okay.
new characters come in to take the places of those, but they're not named the same. I
Like
don't
Coy and Vance Duke come in? Similar
yes.
concept.
Similar
Okay.
concept.
Okay.
And then the show comes back and it's the
Okay.
original characters again,
Okay.
with a bunch of different people. But the show is SG1 is it's a 10, I think it's 10 seasons, 11,
Yeah, it's a
10.
longie. Yeah.
It's a long one, but it's good, man.
Okay.
It's a good show. It's a great show for any sci-fi character, but I think you should watch the movie first because then
Yeah.
you get a background of everything. I think they kind of do it in the show too, but you understand the concepts of everything very
Mm-hmm.
well
Okay.
from the movie.
That
So when
makes
you
sense.
roll into the show, you're like, I know how this all works, and you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of focus on how the story progresses. There This is one of those shows where they did a great job at adding filler episodes while also including episodes that
Yeah.
continue like a constant plot throughout each season. They do
I
a
do
very good
really
job of
miss the
that.
filler episode. As much as I love Strange New Worlds, it's like every episode has to have so much plot in it. I would just
Bro,
love one,
yes.
where it's like they're just hanging around. My wife and I have been we just were just like, you know what? Let's just watch some Next Gen. And so I only have the first two seasons on DVD. And so
Yeah.
we just started watching season two, like the Pulaski year. And I forgot how much fun it was. Like an episode like the Royale or something like that, where it's just like,
Yeah.
nothing's happening here. These characters are just like in a little scenario and they just got to like figure out how to get out of it. And that's it. Everybody's just
Re-
having a good time. And I
rem-
miss that so much. So
Remember
I'm
that
glad to hear
next gen
Stargate has
episode?
them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Remember that next gen episode where Wesley like crushes that like little greenhouse and you're like, "Oh,
Yes.
geez, this is gonna be one of them
Yeah.
filler episodes. It's gonna be so corny and dumb." And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's like, "He needs to die. That's the
Yeah.
law
Like
on
we
this
got to
planet."
kill
And you're like,
Wesley.
"Whoa. We got to have a
Yeah.
trial." Right? And you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, this filler episode just took a massive
Yeah.
turn."
Yeah.
But that's what was great about next gen where you're like, "Man, even the filler episodes like that was actually good. Like that was memorable, technically
Yeah.
filler episodes. I don't know, like, but I thought
Except
it was
Shades of Grey. Shades of Grey is the ultimate filler episode because it's just a clip show. Like Riker
oh, is
gets
it? Yeah.
hurt, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh,
let's remember all the things that
that's
Riker has
right.
gone through in these two
Yeah.
seasons." That's no good. That's
What
no
about
good
the
at
episode?
all.
No, Genesis is a filler episode. That's the one where like Picard goes on vacation and comes back, and then everyone's
Oh,
like, oh no, Crusher. No, no, not Crusher. What's his name? Who's the coward guy that
Barkley.
has Barkley? I was gonna say the guy who has a
Oh,
addiction to
I
the
know what you
holodeck.
mean. And they're
Yeah,
like
he
the
like
weird, like evolved
yeah,
monsters.
like everyone's Worf is like this
Yes. Yes.
creature and like
Yeah.
just you
Yeah.
remember like that in hindsight, like was that episode really a good idea?
I don't think so.
I
No,
don't
I don't think
think
so at
so.
all. I don't think so at all.
I remember it for all
I
the
do have
wrong
to
reasons.
say, watching season two again, I like Pulaski. I know that
I
that's not a
love
popular
Pulaski.
opinion, but I
She's
really think
yeah.
she brings
Yep.
something interesting.
Yes.
They are all so like their relationships are so like locked in and sort of easy. And she comes in and she's just like, I don't know, whatever. whatever you guys want to do. It's just I don't really get what she just has a
Yeah.
very different energy that I find kind of refreshing, and I'm sad that it's just the one season because I wish she would have like come back or something, just
Yes.
like have a 3 episode arc where Pulaski's back and something happens, or like I don't know, she doesn't even show up in the movies.
Yeah. There's like
Anyway,
here's the thing, there's like nasty people out there, but then like for me, there's like nasty people that I'm like, they're really mean to me, but I
yeah,
really like this
yeah,
guy, you know,
it's
like,
true.
all right, we're gonna be
Well,
friends. You're really mean. And that's Pulaski, where she's like,
yes,
she is just so sharp-witted that you're like, dang, I just totally got burned. I can't wait for the
yeah,
next time I get burned by
yeah.
Pulaski, you know.
My wife
She's
and I
so
were
good.
dissecting this, and I really feel like the thing that put the nail in the coffin of that character from day one is when she comes in and she's like, Data's nothing. Data's a doorknob, and I don't care. You know what I mean? It's not, you know what I mean? It's not the whole Spock McCoy thing because those two are
Yep.
friends. She just rolls on this ship and she's like, who's this pet robot? Can we get him out of here? This is
Yeah.
not even a person.
They did her so
That's
good
rough.
too when she in her last episode. I thought that was I mean that for me that's such a memorable episode where she remember it's the one is it's her last episode, right? Where she oh maybe it's not
Well,
the last
technically,
episode.
Shades of Grey is her last episode, but that's
What's
the
the
one
one
where
where she gets
Riker's on the
really, really
table.
old?
Oh
I
yeah.
thought that was her last episode for some reason.
No, that
Does
may have
she
been the last one,
heal?
Phil. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's the whole thing, because she won't use the transporters and they're using the transporters to
Yep.
like reset
Yep.
the aging and stuff. Yeah, that's an
I
interesting.
thought maybe that
Yeah.
was. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe she
Icarus, the
does get.
one where Riker's dad comes back and she has all this history with
Oh.
Kyle Riker. I mean, that's another, it's
Oh
a good
yeah.
episode. It's a good
It's
season.
she is oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Crusher's great, but like Pulaski just added that like
Yep.
the McCoy element to it where, you
Yeah.
know,
That's certainly
just
what they were going for. Yeah.
yeah,
This
man.
is this is one of my favorite things about when we watch something that we really don't like or want to talk about because who
Well, in this,
knows?
everyone's the
Who knows where
same.
the conversation's going to go?
I had to look back at like all the women's faces, and they all have some sort of marking
Yeah.
or are slightly
Yeah.
different. I'm like, they all feel the same to me, and that's
They are. Yeah.
disappointing.
The character
You
designs
know,
are very simple, very
very
basic.
except for Montoya, the Seattle girl. She's recognizable immediately because of her dark hair, but like
Yeah.
one had like short hair, one had like blue hair with a mohawk, one had they all had like some sort of mohawk, faux hawk type thing.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to realize that there was 3 girls that almost looked the same, and then
Yeah.
Seattle, and then RJ,
Hmm.
and so I was just like, it took me too long
Well,
because the
I think,
colors were just
yeah, it
wild.
seems like this style, there's basically one facial design for a female character and
Yes,
two for male characters. You have the real angular, pointy, which RJ kind of
boyish.
has, and then you have
Yep.
the more like bulbous, like
Square.
round forehead kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
or like a
left
square head kind of.
square
Yeah.
jaw, Lex Luthor
Yes.
head.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. So,
That was it. Yeah, pointy jaw or square jaw. That was it.
well, we tried. I think we gave it our best shot.
It's a
Uh,
fun science fiction show, but
yeah.
I think Stargate was the wrong IP to
Yeah.
launch it.
I agree
So,
with that. It's just it's not fun. It's my own. That's the only point that I would push back.
yeah. Well, there's
It's
also
it's also not fun. So
I should have done this as my my Oak of Arc, but
yeah,
the way the Stargate works is when you go through the Stargate, if you don't control the side you came from,
yeah,
like when you come back, you either can't come back or you'll walk through and you'll get
right,
shot up, or you're
yeah,
just gonna splatter against the
yeah,
iris, that thing that
yeah,
opens and closes. So like they're like, we need to get out of here, and they go through the Stargate. I'm like, yo, you needed to have
yeah.
like
Well, that's kind of the
retreated
whole. That's
away
the whole
from the
premise of the
Stargate.
movie. The first movie is like, well, we're through, but we don't have any control on the other side. Yeah. So
Yeah.
good point. Good
So
point.
there's an aspect of that. I did look ahead, and there is a planet that they go to that doesn't have a remote, which is
Ah,
the dial
okay,
device. I pieced this together because I looked up the alien because I was like,
okay.
that's not an ancient, and it's that dragon, and it's oh, she has an ability like a telekinesis ability. She can actually
Oh,
control the Stargate
well,
without
that's
a remote. So I was like,
okay. That's
oh,
clever.
I'm gonna put it together that in
Yeah,
that episode they get stuck and then they realize that she
yeah,
can
yeah.
predictable, but like that's I mean, the show is very specific in how that works. Like you go and you can't come back unless you control that side. So it's very
Hmm.
important, and that's something set up in the show that like security is at a top priority because it's like you're coming home blind. You're coming home
Hmm.
expecting that when you walk through, everyone's going to be like, "Yes, you made it back," rather than just getting blasted immediately when
Hmm.
you walk through the iris. So
Yeah.
or the Event Horizon or whatever they call it. I can't
Hmm.
remember what they call it. They call it something.
Yeah. So in
But
conclusion, this show has some problems.
has
I
major
don't think.
problems,
Yeah, I don't think there's any way around
infinite
that.
problems,
Yeah.
you could say.
Well, things are looking bright for next time because it's going to be Star Wars Day, and we're going to be covering the 2025 Ewoks comic book series by Steve Orlando. And of course, we're going to have
Can't
special
wait.
guest Amanda Smith from the David A. Howe Public Library. So that's going to be this is my prediction that's going to be a much sunnier experience.
I think so. I've seen
Yeah.
some little
Yeah, it
bits
looks
of it.
good.
It was in German,
Yeah.
but it looks
Right.
good. I'm
It
excited.
is kind of hard to find digitally, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Check it out from your local library, folks. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. All right, I'll see you then.
Okay.
This Endorian Life is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Be sure to check out some of the other shows on the network, including 9021 Here We Go and previously on X-Men. Please rate, subscribe, and share these shows wherever you get your podcasts.